Junior Stillo is the illegitimate son of the leader of the two escapees, Luke Stillo, who was serving a life sentence for the 1966 triple slaying of a priest and two nuns.
You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
The law on my side, ain't it?
And Sheriff, I got the chickens and the truck.
I know it. It all sounds like some bad movie.
But I'll tell you what. You know how I said I, haven't written notes on movies that because I haven't. I do remember another film that I did see.
Uh-oh.
It is relevant.
Let's watch The Spirit again. Is that it?
No.
What?
No. Last House on the Left, the remake.
Oh, you finally saw it.
I did see it.
And you've seen the original, right?
Of course, I've seen the original.
I'm just checking.
And hated. I know we go back and forth a lot about.
That's why you didn't like the original.
You liked the original. I hated it. I think the villains from the original. The main leader of the group looks like a fucking used car salesman,
wait.
I hate that.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are we talking about Last House on the Left or Hills Have Eyes?
Last House on the
Just
Left.
making sure. All right.
No, I enjoyed the original Hills Have Eyes, and
Yes.
I enjoyed the remake of Hills Have Eyes.
All right. So Last House on the Left.
Last House on the Left, the remake.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
You did. You did see the remake.
Oh yes.
Oh, very good. So we can actually talk about that.
Go for it.
What did you think of it?
All right.
Did you have problems with it?
I have one.
Only because you know
one
what?
problem.
I know I had less problems with it because of my utter hatred for the original film. So, in my opinion, anything that they did in the remake is gonna be better.
Your problem is you probably saw the version that has the cop riding in the chicken truck, and that tends to.
I saw the unrated version
Of the original. I'm saying.
Oh, the original.
When the cop's riding in the truck full of chickens.
Yeah.
That tends to ruin the film for a lot of people.
No, there's a lot more wrong with it than that.
I have one basic quibble with, and here's
everything.
There's a minor
everything from the music
there's
to the way the pacing. I just hated it all.
Okay, but the remake you liked.
I did like the remake.
All right. Here's my minor problem with the remake, and this is a minor spoiler, but only if you don't watch the trailers or don't know the original film. In the original film, the Charlie Manson-looking gang. They rape and kill the daughter and her friend, and then they break down and they end up at the house of. And I think this is actually a remake of a French film too. I have to look into it a bit.
Okay.
I read something somewhere about the same film, same plot line. And I think they remade it, but it never really gets billed as a remake. And they somehow end up at the house of the parents of the girl, and they find out. And in the original film,
they take revenge on them.
Well, in the original film, the parents snap and go on a bloody rampage where they were going to take out these bastards that killed our beautiful daughter.
Girl. Yeah.
And at the end, it's a feel bad ending because these parents they degenerate to the level of the criminals and they do horrible things to them. There's like a chainsaw fight at the end, and then when they come out of the house at the end, there's no joy. It's like we did this, but she's still dead. Where'd it gone? And it was one of the classic feel bad films of the exploitation genre, like I Spit on Your Grave, where it's a vengeance film, but at the end she's not a happy camper still. It's just not. It's not that kind of film. So with the remake, the one change they did is where the daughter's not. They rape her and fatally wound her, mortally wound her, but she swims back home, and that's how they find out. Instead of overhearing them, like she comes back and they find her, and then they eventually put two and two together and figure out that they did it because they have the picture. Or there's a plot device where she doesn't tell them; they just figure it out, which is a minor ripoff. But the problem is, now they changed the game. Now the game is, we're not going to take revenge on these people, but she's alive, we have to get her out of here, so we'll do anything we have to save her. So instead of becoming a vengeance film, it becomes a survival film. And there's even a point where the father grabs the mother, and this is the hit the audience over the head with a hammer moment.
Okay.
Where it's implied, but for anybody not paying attention, we're going to drive this point home. the husband takes her and says,
We have to do
whatever it takes.
Yep.
Whatever it takes.
If you're ready to do anything.
And he says like 2 or 3 times.
And it's like anything. We have to do anything.
Anything we have to do, we will do.
Well, I mean,
but so
you know what? I find that to be more realistic than the original film.
That's because you're not a bad person. I'm a bad person, and I like films.
You're not a bad person.
I like films I like the films that take the character to the dark side. Like Death Sentence was a kind of film where.
Don't get me wrong. Their little girl didn't die, but think of it this way: they did all of this damage to these people, and she didn't die. They did it anyway.
They messed her up though.
They messed her up pretty bad.
You know what?
But she didn't die.
You know what?
So here's the thing: in the original film, they tear them apart because they killed their little girl. In this version, they do the same thing, but she gets to live.
But if they,
so think about that. Think of how much worse that is.
It's an excuse though, because the point is.
Well, come on.
If they could find the boat keys, they'd be out of the house without having to deal with these people. But the thing is, they're put into a situation where they have to fight them. Now they try to redeem themselves with the after credits scene, which I'm not going to reveal.
No, that was very good.
But it's in the trailer.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
So if you've seen the trailer, it's already ruined for you, but I'm not going to double.
They actually show the whole thing in the trailer?
They show enough of it where I'm sitting through the whole scene.
Well, you know what? I saw snippets. I didn't see trailers. I saw TV spots. And they can't show that in a TV spot.
It's quarantine all over again. Let's show the last scene of the film in the trailer. So if you're paying attention, you're sitting through the whole film going, well, I know how it ends now.
I did see Quarantine. That was terrible.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk maybe.
But that's
we're not promising anything.
But that's my only complaint with the film. It's a minor complaint because it's still a good film. I felt.
Right.
And it's still a film that really shows the brutality of the scene, like when they stab the girl and let her die, and the rape scene. It's all done without any kind of.
But you know what? I'll tell you.
It's all done brutally,
right,
to show the true brutalness of it. And this is the kind of thing they're calling torture porn now. And I'm not going to get into it. But here's the whole thing. Horror films at some point in our life used to be horrifying. That's where the word horror comes from. And now we get complaints every time we show something that makes us feel bad. It's supposed to make you feel bad. It's horror. So showing the girl stabbed 2 or 3 times in the stomach and watching her bleed to death, is it a nice thing to watch? No. But that's why we're not watching the Love Actually, which I liked. We're not. This is not. I'm not watching Mary Poppins
which
again.
I didn't.
We're watching a goddamn horror film. It's supposed to be horrible. You're not supposed to enjoy it. It's supposed to bother you. It's supposed to trouble you. So you have horror filmmakers like they did, like when Wes Craven did Last House on the Left, the original.
Yeah.
And like when they did this one, and Wes Craven didn't direct this one, right?
No.
That's why it was good. Okay.
Yeah.
He
think about that for a second.
No,
if he did have anything to do with it other than probably a story credit,
I shudder to think,
or executive producer.
I shudder at the thought. But they're doing with these films now what they tried to do back in the 70s, which is make films that actually truly scar you in some way.
Yeah.
They're trying to reach an emotion. Romantic comedies try to reach a love emotion. Action films try to get like that adrenaline thing going. Horror films try to horrify you. I thought this film had a lot of good scenes where they truly were disturbing. Where you're watching a scene, and when you're watching a rape sequence, you should be bothered.
And I absolutely was.
Yeah, it was.
You know what? I watched it with
not the worst rape scene I've ever seen.
No,
that would be you know the film.
I do know the film.
Irreversible.
Oh God,
with a 20-minute anal rape sequence in the underground street crossing.
Yeah, and you know what? That opening shot in the nightclub.
Yes.
Must be seen to be believed.
Yeah, no, it's a.
If you're gonna watch that movie,
the film's a bit questionable.
Well, I'll tell you what. When that movie starts, it's kind of nauseating the way the camera work is in and out,
the camera work and his whole.
But that's only in the beginning of the movie. If you can get past the first 10 minutes.
No, that's not only the beginning.
No, yeah, sure.
It
comes
and goes,
waving in and out like that. But the most of it is in the first 10, maybe 15 minutes. If you can get past that. It's not as bad, and you don't feel as nauseous.
So what I'm saying is, I liked the only reason I didn't like the Last House on the Left remake is because it wasn't horrifying enough, because they took away that element of that one event that takes a normal married couple and just pushes them to a level of just brutal, violent, primal. That's what I'm looking for. Primal rage, and just go batshit insane and just start tearing people apart. That's what I want to see. I want to see human beings totally destroyed on every psychological level.
Right.
This kind of redemption at the end that bothers me.
Well, I'll tell you. Here's a question for you about the girl getting stabbed in the stomach.
Yes.
Most brutal you've seen?
No, but it wasn't. But it was. There was some of the more brutal horror you see are the ones that have an almost casual feel to it. When he stabs her,
I'm bringing it up for a reason.
Well, no, I'm saying because when he stabs her in the film, that this is in the woods, right? It just happens, and then all of a sudden, it goes kind of quiet except for the natural noises.
Right.
She doesn't double over and go, oh! There's just this kind of what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
And then and walks
almost
away.
Shock even.
Right, and then he does it again and again, 2 or 3 times. But the sensationalism of it's taken away, and it's just shown for the raw moment that it is, where it's almost for the person involved and everything, it's almost unbelievable, and it almost feels surreal in some ways because it's not over exaggerated. We're so used to violence being over exaggerated in films where a gunshot to the shoulder and the guy does 3 backflips overboard.
Yeah,
and that's acceptable.
It is. If it's in the right context.
Because we're taking violence and making it almost cartoonish. Yeah. What these horror films like this, not all of these so-called torture porn films, but like Last House on the Left, the original and this one, and to some extent I feel The Hills Have Eyes, the original, that they try to take violence and take away the cartoonish aspect of it and show it for what it really is, which is horrible and disturbing. And there's something entertaining about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just me.